Welcome to this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden, and I'm a Certified Zentangle Teacher. Today we're going to look at the Tangle Sindoo from Sharon Robinson. This is a super neat tangle. Grid-based, obviously, so I decided I'm just going to do 4 squares. And then I have some samples from the classes we did earlier today. We did a couple sessions and focused on this tangle. And then you can see what it looks like in a bigger grid. All right, so this one starts off, after you have your grid done, we're going to do large seeds in each of the squares. So a seed is a curved line going one direction and then a curved line going the other direction. So then they meet and it looks like a big seed. This one is going to look like a, well, we want these to be plump seeds, these ones, because we're going to do some stuff on the inside, as you could see from the preview picture. So what I like to do is, so I'm starting here, and then my goal is I'm going to end up tracing a little bit of the grid lines. And and it's not a bad idea. A lot of times I'll do this kind of air motion. I noticed that there's others that do that too. Notably, I think Rick Roberts, Zentangle co-founder, I think I've seen him do that on some videos, and I was like, all right, I'm in good company. All right, so, and going slow helps. So doing a big curve line and ending up here. So it's okay if we're tracing over those grid lines. Now, 2 things. I'm going to flip my tile. You can do the other side either way. Sometimes it's nice to use the natural grid of your hand, because you have it planted, right? And then we're just using the natural grid. So I'm going to do the same thing. There we go. Oh, that looks beautiful. And you know what? Because we're going to, in your whole grid, we're going to do the same direction, like in alternating boxes, kind of like a checkerboard. So what I sometimes like to do is do the same direction and get all of those done and out of the way. Now, do you have to do it that way? Nope. You can go, this direction, this direction. You can alternate them. I find I get equally lost doing it either way, so it just depends on the day. But I want to just share that with you as a strategy. If you find yourself, quote, messing up, then, try that. Just doing the one side. And like I said, as you're doing a bigger grid, it's going to look more like a checkerboard. All right, now we're going to do the opposite side. And I'm going to try to make them look just as pretty. Yeah. Like I said, and you don't have to flip your tile to do the other side if you don't want to. That one was a little bit interesting because I wasn't concentrating. I was like, oh, look I'm almost done. And in my head, I kind of lost my focus a bit. But as we know, if this is not the first Zentangle video you watched, you already know this. If this is the first Zentangle video you've watched, or maybe it could be just the first time you heard it, like #1 philosophy of Zentangle is there is no such thing as a mistake in Zentangle. No such thing. All right. Next step. In the class, I played a little bit with using different shapes or different sizes of pen. And like for this next bit, I used a little bit thicker pen, but for now, I'm just going to stick with the same thing. So this is where I personally ran into a little bit of challenge, and but I think I got it fixed. So this step, we're going to do S shapes, and I always have to look back at my step outs to say, okay, which direction am I going first? Oh, and maybe, let's see. So if I'm going this direction. So we're going to do an S shape down the center. The thing that I found that was somewhat helpful is to think of the yin-yang symbol, but not necessarily as wide, although you can do this as, as SE as you want. But so I'm trying to think of an easy way to remember which way to start without looking at the step outs. I'll come up with something, I'm sure. Okay. So starting here with where the upper end of the seed is on the left, this one we're going to do a regular S shape. So I'm going to come down and then try to cross in the middle and then back down on the other side. Oh, that's gorgeous. So you see the idea, kind of like the yin yang. And then the diagonal, so all of these ones going this way, you know, where it's upper left, lower right, are going to be the same direction. Yeah, that one not so much, but it's okay. And I don't think, no, because see, then we're doing opposite S's is what ends up happening. So I'm trying to think, how will this work best? There's probably no way. Well, actually right here. So we're going to mirror this, because just like this seed is mirrored to this, we're going to mirror the S shape. So it's going to be a backwards S, and I know myself, you know, it's kind of like, okay, I got to think about it for a minute because it's going to be opposite. But looking at this, it's like that, and knowing we're going opposite, it makes it a little bit easier, like so. And then up here, I'm going to flip and do the same thing, but I find it helpful to have something I can mirror against, or at least even here, it's like, okay, here's the backwards S, and then here it is again. You can think of it doing it, you know, in a chain as well. All right. Like I said, for me, that was the hardest part, was just getting that so it felt right, because this step is a little bit crucial to the next step, which is in these sections we have created with the S, we're going to put other seeds. So I saw a lot of really neat different ways to do it, but for me, I'm going to do a seed that I want to start it about here, and keeping a little bit of a distance, you know, on either side. And so on each of these sections, so we're starting here, say that one was really wide, so we can have a little bit more fun with that one. Like I said, I personally like to, you know, just have it, well, you're not going to necessarily, depending on how your S's turn out, you're not necessarily going to have an equal amount on each side. Although, like this, I kind of aura'd this line right here, so that's something you could do. And if you don't know, to aura is basically to outline, or we're following the contours at the same distance away. So you could have fun with that too. And then I kind of like to just tuck mine up, you know, about there. And again, that's completely up to you. You could do just small ones. If you, at some point I will get this blog post done from the classes today. But if you want to go to my website, tangleaddicts.com, and that link is in the description box also, and follow my blog. When I do classes, at some point after the class, and right now I'm way behind, just to let you know, I will post results, you know, the pictures from the classes, and links to the step outs, and, you know, a link to this video, link to the class replays and things like that, because we do have a lot of fun. Oh, we do have one more step. But that way, you know, if you want to follow that, then when it comes out, then you will just know. All right, the last step with this one is on these sides, you know, where there's an intersection, we're going to essentially aura this line. And you can, you know, again, have it as close or as far away from that as you want. I'm going to do that on this side too. And then we're going to fill them in. But I'm going to at least do the aura first, because I'm going to switch to a thicker pen, which I could have maybe used the thicker pen all along here and save myself having to switch. Ooh, although I'm just having a thought. I think I'm gonna fulfill my thought. All right, yes. So because I have two examples of different ways to fill this in, so I'm going to create a third here. So you could fill it in solid, or on one example I did an aura of this and filled in the center. Another thing you could do, although here it will show different, let's see, well, oh no, let me do it this way. I'm going to aura these two lines like so. So I'm going to aura the corner. I was going to just have it go one direction, because sometimes when we do things like this and we fill in like if I was ignoring this line and just do straight lines, then it's kind of neat because then the grid lines disappear. But I'm just remembering, of course, that, well, I'm not going to have just one line. I have these two lines, and when it's in a larger grid, I'm going to have, you know, 4 lines, but this is going to look neat. So that way it still does disappear kind of in this pattern, if I can get my pen working right. Let me move over this way so that way you can see the pen. So again, you know, sometimes I like to start from the corner and work my way out slowly. And sometimes turning the towel, sometimes not. It just depends. And working to keep a similar distance. And for something like this, I kind of like to have that nice tight, have them kind of close together. But starting in the corner, I kind of assure myself the distance that I'm starting at, and then I'll continue by starting in the corner like that, and then working out both directions. Oh, see, that looks neat. That looks neat. Okay. The rest is essentially up to your imagination to decorate. One way, and so I'll describe. Let's see. Okay, I did that a little bit. You know what? I'm going to do it the way I did it in the step out, so that way I'll have a nice combination here. All right. So here's one way. Ooh, well, maybe I'll add a little bit to it. Okay. So this is that original seed that we made, right? We have this outer side. I'm going to go a little bit darker, I think, on the outsides. Ooh, this is what I'm going to do. This. I'm just going to put darkers. That's so silly. Oh. Try not to. And let's just see what this looks like. I like to do this with other things where I put darker of whatever, and then I'm spreading it out to the inside, so that way then the inside will naturally be a little bit lighter. Kind of worked, kind of didn't. That's okay. If I had gone a little bit lighter on the outside. Well, it's a smidge. It's a smidge, yeah. Okay. We'll try it again here. Maybe not as dark or not as far out. And do the same thing. Yeah, so without adding anything, we can kind of get a little bit of that shine. Just using the graphite alone, and could even go a little bit. You know, could always touch up and go back and add some darkness to those sides. Just so it's a little bit different, but it's kind of fun sometimes to just using the graphite and it's, you know, and use it as a fill in instead of just for shading. Sometimes it's just fun to do that. And using the tortillon certainly helps to get that. It makes that such a nice smooth gray versus, you know, just relying on, you know, just coloring it in solid with the pencil. Say, I'm coming back here to just go a little bit darker, and then not spread it out all the way. There we go, thus creating what I was trying to do in the first place. Ooh, and maybe I will do a little bit different in those seeds. Sometimes I like to think about, well, what I'm going to do next as I'm doing what I know what I want to do. So I knew I wanted to do that, and I was like, okay, now let's ponder the inside. And I think I'm going to do similar. I'm going to go dark on, you know, where we have it in the points here. and spreading it out. It is always a good idea to test how, test your graphite. This, I mean, I know how the graphite works on these Zentangle tiles. As I saw, I put a little bit, maybe a little bit too much, because I want it to be darker in the center. But I don't necessarily, if I maybe didn't go all the way out, but I wanted to have them colored all the way. And again, just like I did on the other side, I can always come back and add some darkness. And so I'm putting this at the tip. Oops. Y'all are yelling at the screen. You missed a space. You missed a space. There we go. It's just so neat how it smooths out. Oops, I was working to have a nice gradient. I don't like to see lines. And then a lot of times too, I will use kind of this pushing motion, kind of front to back, especially when I have a little tight area. Because I don't want to go outside the lines on this as much as I can avoid going outside lines. So that looks neat. Yes. Very, very cool. All right, so let me back up this camera. And that's just, ever so simple. Well, although it's rather small, I was thinking, oh, could add some really dark, but then it's going to just cover that little section up. If it was the full diamond, which would be created from putting it in, I still need to go back further, in a larger grid like this, then you have a little bit more room. So again, this is a bijou tile, which is 2 by 2. This is on a traditional 3.5-inch square tile. And so this one, what I ended up doing was, because this is a gray tile, I was able to add to the graphite white charcoal. So we have a white charcoal pencil, and just adding that in. That didn't look very blurred or smudged together. There we go. And put this one, I went on the outside of the seeds. So in this section is where I did this shading. So I added white to the tips and then blended it into the graphite, which I started at the base of those, working around those little seeds. Inside the seeds, I like to put the line dot dot, which is my favorite thing in the world to do, because it just makes things look so neat. And you can see how it kind of looks a little shiny with the white blending into the gray. It just has a really neat effect. And so on these corners, that last step, so here I did some aura-ing. Here I did a larger aura, and then aura'd the inside and colored the inside in, just for something a little bit different. Now this one I decided to do on black, as you can see. So white jelly roll on the black. Oh, and it's looking a lot more vibrant than on the camera than it was on the screen from class. And for whatever reason, I decided that this looked like flames. And so I thought, well, let's have some fun with, these are General's chalk pencils. And you put some red and then on inside the seed, and then some orange on the outside, blending into yellow. And this one, I left all these diamonds in the middle, just colored solid. And you can see, I mean, it has, well, I'll just overlap them a little bit. It has just a neat effect, depending on how you decide to decorate it. And so lots of other options for you on that. And it's really, whatever your imagination has. It's, just lots of fun that can be had with this tangle. So with that, again, in the description section, you'll find all kinds of links and things. Excuse me. If you enjoyed the video, would love to have a thumbs up. And also, if you've not subscribed yet, would love to have you as a subscriber. I do at least one post a day. and sometimes more when I get around to getting the classes replays posted. I will do that. But you can count on at least one a day until I run out of tangles to do. And then who knows, I might start over and do them on the black tile or the gray tile, and we'll do some other things. So we will always be having fun. And so anyway, we'd love to have you as a subscriber. If you decide to do that, make sure to hit the notification bell next to it so you can decide how you want to be notified, if you want to be notified at all. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. This is just a really fantastic tangle. And I wish you happy tangling.